let's talk about collision theory today. So collision theory is the explanation for why reactions have the rate that they do. And what it does is it stipulates that chemical reactions occur as a result of collisions between the reactants. And so if we stop and think a little bit about how we can express the rate of a chemical reaction, we have our rate laws that we've been talking about. So for a reaction of A plus B makes products, we can write a general rate law where rate is K, A to some exponent times that concentration and concentration of B to some exponent. So that's the rate laws we've been working with. Collision theory gives us another way to think about the rate. So if rate is dependent upon collisions happening, then that rate will be proportional to the number of collisions that do occur over time. And so we have now two new ways we're going to be kind of going back and forth as we try to explain why reactions have the rate that they do. So collision theory says in order for a reaction to occur, there has to be collisions. So then a logical step in terms of impacting that rate is concentration. If we have more concentration, then we see with our rate law that our concentration of A or the concentration of B increasing will increase the rate. We also see that if we look at it in our second way of thinking about it, the number of collisions that we have. If we have a greater concentration, there's more particles, so there'll be more collisions, and thus the rate will be larger. So concentration is one way that we can increase the rate of a reaction. So if we increase the concentration, we increase the collisions, and so we're going to increase the rate, just to kind of sum that all up. So what else? Because there has to be more to this. If it was just about collisions, all reactions would be virtually instantaneous. In 1 milliliter of gas at 298 Kelvin and 1 atmosphere, there are 1 times 10 to the 27th collisions every second. And so a reaction would happen instantaneously, but that's not what's observed. Turns out there's 2 more things that have to be true in order for a reaction to actually be successful. So the first of those is that in order for a collision, when it occurs to be successful, that collision has to have an energy that's greater than or equal to the activation energy. So our activation energy is the difference in energy between where your reactant's energy lies and the highest energy point in the reaction. So reactions typically involve breaking bonds and making new bonds. Breaking bonds takes energy. So as you break those bonds, the energy of the system is going to increase. And this highest energy point is called your transition state. It's also known as an activated complex. And that highest energy state has to be achieved before you can make products. And so the difference in energy from the reactants to that transition state is known as your activation energy, which is given the symbol EA. So that's your activation energy. Recognize that the activation energy, that's what's going to determine the rate of the reaction. That's the kinetics. It's different from the thermodynamics, which is the difference in energy between reactants and products. So if we go back to our reaction energy profile diagram over here, you've got your reactants here, and then you've got your products down at the bottom. The difference in energy between reactants and products, that's about your thermodynamics. And that's just telling you starting to ending, what's the difference in energy. That's not going to determine the rate of the reaction. The activation energy, that barrier, the height of that hill, is what's going to determine the rate of your chemical reaction. So this tells us that in order to have a reaction occur, I have to have a certain amount of energy. And the temperature has a huge impact on the energy of the molecules involved in a reaction. So let's take a look at that. You've seen a Boltzmann distribution before when we talked about kinetic molecular theory. And so what it basically says is that if you have a certain number of particles at one temperature, at a lower temperature, the average kinetic energy is going to be lower, because that's one of the stipulations of the kinetic molecular theory, that average temperature is proportional to kinetic energy. And as you increase the temperature, so say as we go from T1 to T2, the average kinetic energy is going to increase. So perhaps it was here at T1 for my average. And then now that I have a higher temperature, my average temperature is going to be somewhere off to the right. For my average kinetic energy is going to be higher because I'm now at a higher temperature. Well, if you think about what this means, if you have a activation energy that, say, is here, and so in order for a collision to occur, the particles have to have an energy that is greater than that, T2 is going to have a greater proportion or a greater number of particles that have that greater activation, or that energy greater than that activation energy barrier, as opposed to T1, which will have fewer particles that have the needed energy to collide. So as you increase the temperature, you're going to increase the number of particles that have the needed energy, and so you're going to have more successful collisions and thus a greater rate. And so that explains that temperature connection that we've seen in the past. There's a third thing that has to be true in order for a reaction to occur. Not only do you have to have collisions, not only do those collisions have to have a great enough energy, molecules also have to collide with the right orientation. Think of this as trying to open a key or open a lock with a key. If you don't put the key in the right orientation, you're not going to open the lock. So consider my lovely generic reaction here where I've got two red and blue molecules, and they're going to react to form one molecule that has two red atoms, one molecule that has two blue atoms. If we think about the way that these particles can collide with one another, we've got several different possibilities. So one possibility would be that they would collide as I had initially had them drawn. Here's my little motion lines. They would collide so that the red and the blue particles would be hitting one another. If you think about what your target is, that's not going to be particularly helpful because you need the red atoms to come into contact and the blue atoms to come into contact. So this first option is unlikely to lead to a reaction. Let's look at the second one. In that second one, now my molecules are hitting side on. And if this is the case, my blue particles are now going to come into contact with the red particles so we can start forming those new bonds, breaking the old bonds, and you are much, much more likely to end up with the desired product. So the third possibility I have drawn up is kind of somewhere in between. It's not terrible, but it's not awesome either. So for this one, we see when they would collide together that the two blue particles or the two blue atoms would come into contact. That's a good thing. That's what we want. That might be the start of a reaction, but maybe this one's going to have to be a little more complicated. So if we imagine how this would result, perhaps we would end up with a situation where the two blue atoms stick together and the red atom breaks apart. And then in a second step, that red atom could come in and have a second collision that would result in products. So, perhaps that could happen. And we'll see that this multi-step method to get to our products is definitely something of interest, and we'll talk about that when we talk about mechanism. So in sum, there are three different things that have to happen in order for a reaction to be successful. You have to have collisions, and so increasing the concentration gives you more collisions. Those collisions need to have energy that's greater than or equal to the activation energy in order to be successful. And lastly, the molecules have to collide with the proper orientation. And so all three of these factors impact our rate of reaction and is nicely explained by collision theory.